seen the question cards that we have available up here, and I know Jim has just been bringing some around. Please, if you have any further questions you'd like to write down for consideration to give to the candidates during this hour and a half that we have, please bring them up to Jim. That way we can expedite getting a variety of different topics covered. So if we can have our candidates come on up front and grab something to eat, something to drink, take a seat, and we'll be able to get started. Okay, good evening. Thank you all for taking the time to come here tonight to meet and learn more about the Democratic candidates preparing to run for the United States District 27 congressional seat. Nick Stankevich, Nathan McMurray, thank you for being here with us. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones. We appreciate both of you being ready to take on the task of representing all of us in Washington. Thank you for being here tonight to share your views on both issues of concerns and on the task of winning this seat for the Democratic Party. To quote from our state party website, Democrats understand the value of hard work, education, and opportunity. Democrats are working hard to bring more people into the economic mainstream, to improve our public schools, to protect our homeland, to make quality health care accessible, and to keep our air and water clean. And it's not just elected officials who are fighting for these enduring values, it's committed citizens in communities across New York and America. These committed citizens are all of us in this room. We can add to our ranks by reaching out to increase voter participation in selecting effective candidates for office, helping them become elected officials, and helping them create government that moves us forward rather than holding us back. Before we begin tonight's forum, I do want to bring your attention to the Village of Albion All-Candidate Forum this Thursday, March 8th, 2 days from now, in which Democratic candidates will face their opponents in the upcoming March 20th election for village offices right here in the Village of Albion. Those candidates are Joyce Riley, please stand, running for mayor. Jason Dragon, running for village trustee. And Sandy Walter, running for village trustee. Pass the word. Forum March 8th, election March 20th. As we begin tonight's forum, it is important to note that the Orleans County Democratic Committee has not endorsed a candidate to run for the District 27 congressional seat. We look forward to hearing equally from Nate and Nick. I'd like to ask our chairperson, Jean Crane, to stand. And would the other members of our Democratic Committee here in Orleans County please stand? Thank you. As you enter tonight, You had the opportunity to write down questions for our congressional candidates. We will begin with opening remarks from both Nate and Nick, and then we will address your questions. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to speak to the opening question and then 3 minutes to respond to the following questions. We will end the evening as we approach 8:30 with each candidate summarizing for us in 5 minutes each. Why does he feel he is the best person to represent District 27 in Washington? And why does he feel he's the most likely candidate to be able to defeat Chris Collins in the November general election? After that, I'm sure there will be time for folks to speak with the candidates informally and share ideas. Jean will be timing responses so that we can get as many questions in as possible. She will hold up cards. She's got a green one for 1 minute left, yellow for 30 seconds left, and red for time's up. And we'll alternate which candidate is responding to each question first. Therefore, at this time, I'd like to give Nate McMurray the floor for a 5-minute introduction. Tell us about your background and why you decided to run for Congress.
Well, first, thank you for coming out tonight. On a cold night to see as many people here is fantastic. And I know what type of service it takes to be part of these committees and to be involved. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's something that's more important than ever, especially in this day and age. And I also want to thank Ms. Crane here, who I know has served for a very long time and probably had a lot of ups and downs over those many years. How many years total?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't ask.
Close to 20, I think.
And I also want to congratulate those from Albion who are running. And this gentleman right here, are you Mr. Dragon?
Yes.
Probably the best name I've ever heard in politics. That's quite a name. It's hard to forget that one. My name is Nate McMurray. I grew up in Western New York. I grew up in North Tonawanda, not that far down. I tell the story often, but it shaped how I view the world and who I am. In 1979, my father, he died at the age of 39. I was very, very young, and I had 7 brothers and sisters. 6 in one sister. My mother was 35 at the time, and she suddenly had to face a world where she had to raise all of those children by herself. And we did it, and we had a lot of struggles. She's someone who hadn't worked for a long time. She was a stay-at-home mom, and suddenly she had to support all those mouths and a lot of young children. And we fought together, we worked together, we got through it. I worked my way up to the University of Buffalo, and then I went to California. I went to UC Hastings. It's a university in downtown San Francisco. And then I got a scholarship to study in China. I studied in China. Learned I had some language abilities. I learned Chinese. I learned Korean. I went on to be a Fulbright scholar in Korea. I had a good career as a lawyer overseas. And I ended up being the senior legal counsel for Samsung Electronics. I was very young at the time to have that position, and I was proud to have that position, but I felt something was missing. I wanted to be back home, so I came back home. It's been a few years now, and I want to be part of Western New York again. Got a job working here in Western New York, and then I got a letter in the mail saying, we'd like to see you run or be involved in politics. So I reached out to the local chair, and I said, I want to be involved. I'll do anything I can. I'll knock doors. I'll help out any way I can. And he told me, I want you to run for supervisor. I said, how am I going to win supervisor? I've never done this before. But we worked hard and we won that race. And I'm proud of the record we have on Grand Island. I'm more proud of what I've done on Grand Island than anything else I've done in my entire life. Because as the only Democrat on a town board, we were able to achieve a lot of great things. A very progressive record of renewable energy, of fighting against domestic violence, of fighting the opioid epidemic, renewing closed buildings that were closed for generations, We were recently written up in the Buffalo News for being forward-thinking when it comes to conservation and trails. We've conserved hundreds of acres. We have the West River Trail project that's going to open up this year. It's going to open up 8 miles of waterfront to public access for the first time ever. It's exciting. We even had the governor come to Grand Island. The first time it's ever happened in 60 years. And he came to Grand Island to congratulate me on my efforts and to show his support. We're also putting a welcome center in the middle of Grand Island to help celebrate our history and our culture. And that's something that I'm very proud of. I'm proud of the culture of Western New York. We have a unique history. And this is a very special place. And it's a place I want to fight for. Why am I running for the 27th district? Well, I think we are in a very dangerous time in America. I think we're headed the wrong way. I don't think this is a usual situation. I feel that anxiety, I say it often, but it feels like we're stuck in this reality TV show. And you can feel that anxiety up to your ears, that things are going the wrong way. I talked to my friend the other day living overseas. He's from Geneva, New York. And he said to me, I said, what do you think about what's going on in America? And he said, he lives in China. He said, they're sad. I said, why are they sad? He's like, because everyone wants America to lead. And we're not leading. And a lot of people are left behind. Chris Collins does not represent people like my family growing up, any of the people in this room. He is not leading for us. He does not represent our values. And somehow we've been tricked to think that a millionaire who doesn't spend any time here and is from a different place represents the people of the 27th district. What I can promise you is I will give him a strong fight, and I will, if I am elected as your congressman, I promise to represent you and to listen to you and to be here and to be back over and over again and to fight for the people of the 27th district and what you really care about and what you really believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Nick Stankevich, please take this same 5-minute opportunity to tell us about your background and why you decided to run for Congress.
Perfect. Thank you for having me here today, and thank you, Orleans County Democrats. So I'm running for Congress because the elected officials that we have aren't representing us. I believe that we need Western New York values represented in Congress. Values like cities of good neighbors, good decency, good love and hope. It comes down to, you might hear people talking about the economy or talking about bureaucracy, but that doesn't get to the heart of the issues. It's corruption. We have a broken economic system, and we have a corrupt political system. And the questions to ask is, who among us will fix the problems that really matter to drive us to the future that we all need and deserve? So a little bit about myself. I'm a people person. I'm a natural problem solver. I'm an individual with the natural ability to help my community. And I was born and raised in Western New York. To 2 loving, hardworking parents. My mom was a school teacher. My dad worked in insurance. And early on, they instilled values of hard work, integrity, community. And one of my first jobs was picking green beans in Wyoming County. That was hard physical work. But I took those experiences and I worked through high school at Iroquois Central School. And I continued that hard work onto college at SUNY Oswego. And eventually graduated from the University of Florida with a Bachelor's of Science degree. And then opportunity took me out west. And armed with my Western New York values, I was able to start my first small business teaching children how to swim and able to create some jobs in my community. And then I decided to go to business school, earn an MBA at Pepperdine University with a focus on entrepreneurship. And there I put my skills back into my community. And then my dad got sick. And I decided to move home to be with family and to help my family's small business, a bed and breakfast just south of here in Mumford. And since being back, I've had the opportunity to see Western New York with fresh eyes, and we could do a lot better. I believe healthcare is a human right, and I believe a single-payer system is not just morally correct, but fiscally conservative. I believe that we need good debt-free education and trade schools, so our children and neighbors have the freedom to meet the job demands of tomorrow. We have a student loan debt crisis, which is causing our youth to delay major financial decisions like home ownership and getting married. I believe that we need infrastructure projects. That works for us. Rural infrastructure that keeps our rural communities competitive, attracting talent, innovative businesses, giving a reason for our youth to stay where they grew up. And last, we must embrace the renewable economy. And we can do this by protecting our blue-collar jobs while encouraging the growth of our green-collar jobs. Look, we're all hard-working, freedom-loving Americans. We just need a vision and a representative who has the political courage. Now, as a non-politician, now 5 down to 2, definitely the only candidate who lives in our rural community and who's a proud union member, I am that representative. So it's all about putting people first. I'm running for you, not the party. So I'll leave you with this. When you lead with people, you'll always be on the right side of every issue. Thank you for your time.
Jim is collecting some more question cards, if this has prompted some more thoughts from you. In this next question, we'll give each candidate 3 minutes to respond. This time we'll start with Nick. This question comes from Jason Dragon. What changes to our healthcare system would you support? An improved Obamacare, a switch to single payer, or something else?
So that's a very, very pertinent and relevant question, and I believe in a single payer system. And it's not just because it covers everyone, because that's just the humanistic side of me, but it comes down to it's fiscally conservative, and this is how it's conservative. The moment you take that cost out of every family farmer, out of every small business, their profitability is going to go up. That's why it's fiscally responsible, because it will be an injection to each and every one of our small businesses and family farms in our communities. And on top of it, it will cover everyone. And it's cheaper relative to how the ACA is structured now. And that's the cheapest insurance we've ever had to date. Moving on to a Medicare for all. Moving on to the VA's, the Veterans Health Services. So we have programs that work. So it's just about expanding that. Because it's all about, because right now you have the for-profit system, and I think it's like a 70-30 split. So for every dollar that goes in, we get 30% of the value. 70% goes to administrative costs, CEO pay, stock buybacks. How does that help our healthcare? How does that help our aging population? How does that help me? How does it help you? So it comes down to the fact that I think healthcare is a human right. And I think protecting our earned benefits like Medicare, Social Security, I mean, those are no-brainers. But when it comes down to healthcare, yeah, single payer. It's financially responsible.
Thank you, Nick.
I agree that single-payer healthcare is the only way to go. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. It doesn't feel like that for a lot of people. It feels like we are a struggling economy. As a supervisor of a small town, I'm embarrassed and saddened by how many people came in who do not have access to basic things like antibiotics, who are physically, clearly ailing and do not have help. It's something we need to fight for, and I think we can't be embarrassed about this. In this country, the country is able to do so much and have so many resources spread all over the world. To think that people right here in the 27th district do not have access to health care, it's wrong. One of the things with conservative thought in America today is it's based on this theory that it's the survival of the fittest system. You read these books like by people like Ayn Rand that talks about how there's these supermen in the world who are the ones we should look up to and that dominate us. But I realize more and more every day, what about the people who cannot fight for themselves? What about the infirm and the children? I had a woman in my office just today who is struggling to find the medication she needs for her daughter who's epileptic. So I will fight relentlessly for this. This is one of the things I believe in more than anything else. Because I'm a person, when I was younger, and I didn't have the resources that I have today, remembers what it's like not to be able to go to the doctor, not be able to get the care you need. And then I have the experience of living overseas, where countries that we invest in as Americans, that we protect, have better health care than we have here in the United States. So I believe in universal, single-payer health care that's universally applied to everyone in the United States. If other countries can do it, certainly America can do it. Thanks.
Thanks, Nate. With alternating, it means that you get to do 2 in a row, but that way we keep on alternating. It's a little different from going from 5 to 2. This question comes from Robin Dunnington. What initiatives do you support for protecting our farmers and local economy from the loss of non-citizen farm workers? What are your views on DACA, and how would you vote?
Well, to begin with, my wife is an immigrant. My wife is from South Korea. She's been a citizen for a very long time, and I think that these children, or these young people who have been here since they were children, to deny the fact that they're citizens and to try to even talk about sending them home is a moral wrong. Let me tell you briefly about, I remember very clearly, like it was yesterday, the day my wife got her citizenship. I remember how brutal it was to go through the process, how difficult it was, and then I remember that day in California when we were in this big hall. And what they do is, or they did at that time, is they call out all the names of different countries. They say, who's here from Ireland? Who's here from Kenya? And slowly the room starts to fill up until everybody's standing, and everyone in the room is there. And then together, they sing the national anthem. And it was extremely moving. And we are a country that has been open to the world and brought people here to make our country better since the beginning. Now, we've had some mistakes. We haven't been living up to our greatest values all the time, but at our best, America is a country that provides refuge and safety and opportunity to others. Now here, back to the question regarding agriculture. I've fought for agriculture even in my small town. I proved it, I've done it. We have more protected agricultural districts in the last 2 years as supervisor than any other place in New York State. Imagine that. The town of Grand Island. We've had a complete boom in protected agricultural space. So I believe in agriculture. The Farm Bureau itself has written about me in their newsletter, saying this is a leader that supports and fights for agriculture. Now, what do I feel about this immigrant issue, or the fact that we get more workers in here? We need them. It's as simple as that. And I'll do everything I can in my power to make sure the farms here in the 27th district has the workforce they deserve. Thank you.
Okay, so the two-part DACA and immigration here within the district. So regarding DACA, we made a promise. As a nation, as a country, as a community, we made a promise to 800,000 individuals to come forward who came here, not on their free will, because they're children. and we put them on a program, and we need to honor that. So that's just being a good neighbor and a good citizen. And these individuals are hardworking, add tremendous amount of value into our communities, and playing with their future how we are right now is just wrong. The immigration. So we're in a unique area of the world and the country and the state. We are the third largest dairy producer in the United States. We're the #1 Greek yogurt producer. That means we have a lot of cows. So that means we have a lot of farm laborers, and it's a job that a lot of Americans do not want to have. And it's proven because we have a lot of migrant workers coming in, and we have a program called the H-2A guest worker visa, which is seasonal. We need to make that year-round with the path to citizenship for the experienced workers and the workers that choose to stay. Because some of these individuals have been here for 10 to 20 years.
30.
More? 30. So this is an issue that we have. So by expanding this program from seasonal to year-round with the path to citizenship, it'll create 3 positive outcomes. 1, it'll save taxpayers money by decreasing the need for a government agency so they don't have to fill their quota, more heads on their bed, which is ICE. Number 2, it gives our farm laborers a peace of mind so they could go and grab diapers or milk for their children, where they've called Western New York home. And 3, it allows our family farmers to be the rightful pillars of our rural community so they could lift their head up high and have the labor force to produce their product. So those are 3 positive outcomes by doing one simple thing, expanding an already existing program with the path to citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you both. We'll stay with Nick for this next question. From Peter, Spence, thank you, and Jeffrey Lewis. Legally prescribed opiates have impacted our society. What would be an action to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for addiction?
Yeah, so this is a big, big problem. I just read an article today that they said that since 2012 to current, that there's a 30% increase in overdoses. This is an issue. This is an issue that's hitting home, families, our communities, the state, the country. And I believe it's hitting on 3 counts. I think it's an economic problem. I think it's a healthcare opportunity. And I think it's a special interest opportunity. So to specifically answer the question, it's the special interest aspect of it. We have a regulatory agency that their hands are tied regarding the overprescription of opioids in our society, about regulating them. So this is because of our own government who's not allowing that to happen. Now, I think that this is a healthcare opportunity, especially going into a single payer would be right in alignment, but I think that a lot of people are hurting. And we need to have, from mental health, from actual healthcare, preventative, there's a lot of opportunity here. And then the reason why I think it's an economic issue is because the pain is real. So if it's because somebody got hurt on the job, or it rolls into an overprescription from one of our medical establishments or doctors, that addiction is real. So I think by solving it with actual people-focused economic development and infrastructure projects, it'll give people a job and prosperity. Now, that pain is still there. Opioids are addictive. I believe, and I've been stating this from even before I was running, I believe the legalization of cannabis is a must. 2 reasons. 1, it's not addictive, and it solves the problem of fixing the pain. 2nd, we treat it like alcohol. You regulate it, and you tax it. Look to states like California, Colorado, who are already doing it. They're making a lot of money. That's going to roads, bridges, schools, things that matter in our community, and those are dollars. Think about the new industries that come out of that, and the more tax revenue that comes out. This is what we have to do. We cannot stay in the past. We have to adjust to the future. And it's about, I think, with the opioid crisis, it would be legalizing cannabis. Thank you.
I agree with the legalization of cannabis. I think it's been proven through studies that are showing that the legalization of cannabis actually cuts down on opioid use. And I've said before, we have to farm it, tax it, keep it out of the hands of children who have brains that are still developing and growing, and use the revenue to fight real problems. And if that can help fight opioid abuse, I would definitely support that. The issue of opioid abuse is terrifying. I had a colleague just a few days ago lose his 29-year-old son. And this is not the first person in my life who has lost someone. We had a parent on Grand Island who lived in a very expensive home. Their children came home to find the mom dead. This is a plague. This is something, every 10 or 20 years we hear about another. First it was cocaine, and then it was heroin. There's like these cycles where the news gets excited about these different drug epidemics. But this one, it seems unlike the other ones because it crosses every part of our society and affects people on every single level. I think deeply it shows some type of malaise in our society, some type of sadness that I can't or do not have the power to address as one person. We've created a task force in our small town that's working with Erie County. Tomorrow we're doing a thing, we're on promotion where we're putting black balloons on every single house in Erie County and all the houses at Grand Island. You come over to the town hall to get the black balloons to represent all the families who have people who are struggling with opioid use and abuse, and also the people who have lost loved ones to this problem. I think broadly speaking, dealing with the drug companies, I think they have an incentive in a system that is based on pure profit to push as much as this is possible. And I think that goes back to the issue that we need to address the fact that the medical system in America cannot be based strictly on a profit model. It doesn't make sense. Think about it. If you break your arm, does the market standard work for that? No, because you'll pay whatever you can to get your arm fixed. You don't have a choice. So there is no choice. So the profit motive does not apply. So those are things that need to be addressed.